Hey, what's going on, guys? CJ here, Three Black Geeks, giving you another movie review. I just came out of seeing The Fate of the Furious, newest Fast and the Furious movie. We're on movie 8. um, me and D were talking offline. I went to see Fate of the Furious by myself since he couldn't make it. We were talking offline before I got to the screener, and we were just talking about how it was amazing. And we emphasized this when we did our podcast on the past 7 Fast and the Furious movies. Check it out on Three Black Geeks podcast. We had talked about Fast 1 through 7, and we were amazed that the series got to 8, and this is a series that started off from the first movie, which was about street racing. Now, granted, the first movie was basically Point Break with cars, but it was about street racing. And, Too Fast had some street racing, but it was still kind of like Point Break light a little bit and stuff, except they had to go undercover and all that stuff. Tokyo Drift kind of brought it back to just about racing, but, it was also a little bit of dash of some teenage angst kind of things and stuff. But also, too, about Tokyo Drift is amazing. That was the movie that was kind of the catalyst that got us to this point that we're at right now with Fate of the Furious and such. And it's like each movie upped the stakes significantly on just what it could do to really up itself. I mean, Fast and Furious, the fourth one, it was subdued. It had moments and stuff like that. It was a very subdued movie a bit. There was nothing that was just crazy out there. I mean, I guess if you want to talk them using this underground thing to go from Mexico to California, fine, whatever. But there was nothing really nuts and stuff. Well, no, when they were still in the fuel at the beginning, that was kind of crazy. But, whatever, right? Then you got Fast 5 with them dragging a safe. That's where it got even more ridiculous. Then you got Fast 6 with the fucking runway and the plane and the tanks and just every ridiculous stuff that was going down, right? Then you got Fast 7. Which crazy amount of ridiculous, and from The Rock taking out a fucking drone with an ambulance, to Vin and Brian jumping through buildings, in between buildings in Dubai. It was ridiculous, it was crazy, but you just went with it and ran with it. So when they announced Fate of the Furious, you see, I saw the first trailer and was like, well, I'm already in. And you see the sub, you're like, oh wow, So I already knew going in it was gonna be a wild movie. The movie itself is to say that it's good is an understatement. Let's just say I enjoyed it. I got my money's worth. There was a lot of just the usual kind of your eye rolling at the ridiculous shit that this movie is doing. But if you've watched the Fast and Furious Fast and Furious movies up to this point, the ridiculous stuff is just whatever. You can't sit there and, take the things that it's doing and roll your eyes at it and stuff. You just roll with the punches and just take it for what it is and such. If you saw the trailer with the sub, you just roll with it. That's basically what I'm getting at. You just roll with the ridiculousness because that's the series staple. And to give F. Gary Gray credit, he does a good job with the movie and stuff. And he just expounds on the ridiculousness and stuff. James Wan did the same thing in Furious 7. He just expounded on the ridiculous stuff, and we just went with it because it's like, whatever. Go with it, let's go, in Furious 7, they were halo jumping in cars because, fuck it, why not? Let's do this. In Furious 8, it's just things that happen. Like, the crux of the plot of Furious 8 is essentially, Dom and them, they're kind of just chilling. Dom ends up, through meeting Charlize Theron's character, Cypher, ends up betraying the team. Now, the circumstances of him betraying the team, I'm not going to spoil it. I will say, much like the previous movies, it ties into past stuff. So his rationale and reason for betraying the team is tied into what he's done in the past. And when you see the twist, it makes sense, especially if you've been paying attention closely to Dom's interactions with folks and things like that up to this point. It makes perfect sense. Also, if you haven't been paying attention, you'll probably just be like, well, of course, why not, right? But just as a little bit of a buy, so Charlize Theron's, character of Cypher, you're probably wondering to yourself, well, how does she tie into the team? Because, you're like, well, for her to do that. So, it's a minor spoiler a little bit, but it's not really a spoiler. So Cypher has connections to Digimon Hansu's character from Furious 7 and also Luke Evans' character from Fast 6. There's a connection between those three that ties into the plot line of Fast 8. And it's actually pretty interesting. And like I said, it all ties into why Dom's doing what he's doing. And it makes perfect sense. And you're like, all right, cool. And that, like I said, that kind of ties into the overall mythology of the Fast series, is that there's always some way of tying into different things, whether it's the thing that you saw at the end of Fast 5 where you find out Letty is still alive, and then you're looking at Fast 6, well, how did she pop up alive? Oh, well, here's this scene from Fast 4 that we didn't see because, Dom was going in his head on how Letty could have died, but then Fast 6 shows that same sequence, but we see what happened truly and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, whatever and stuff. You just roll with it, because at that point, fuck it, why not? Are you going to really complain about it? No, you're not. So basically, it's the same with this movie. Just everything ties together because of past events and stuff. And I know most people be like, oh, that's bullshit. Whatever. You roll with it. You're enjoying yourself. The other characters like Hobbs and Shaw, because Statham's character, Owen Shaw? Yeah, I think Owen Shaw. Owen Shaw has to sit there and work with the team per Kurt Russell's, nobody agent telling him, dude, he has to work there. And at first, before the scene even finished, I was like, hold up, this guy killed Han. How are they going to work with him? And sure enough, the team even elaborates on that. And Kurt Russell's character is like, look, this is just a temporary solution. We need to sit there and find this person, Cypher. This is how it's going to work. And I kind of enjoyed the fact that they at least elaborated on that, and it wasn't we hate him, but we're going to work with him. No, there was some begrudging there where it's like, yo, fuck this dude, but fuck it, I guess we have to work with them. But we're gonna get payback on this shit when it's all said and done. So I thought that was actually pretty cool that they allude to that, because like I said, Hobbs and Shaw, their camaraderie on wanting to really just kick the shit out of each other is actually pretty awesome, and I love it. The action itself in this movie is actually pretty good. Again, it's standard Fast and Furious fare. You're not going to be disappointed. One sequence in particular has the team in New York, and they are dealing with cars that are controlled like drones, and there's a lot of them, and it's one of the most ridiculous shit that you've ever seen, but you're just like, whatever, fine, because why not? That's clearly that's not how it works, but you roll with it, and you see how it works and stuff. So I was fine with it. Like I said, again, all the characters work and stuff. Tyrese and Ludacris's characters and their interaction with what's her face from Furious 7, the hacker chick, their interactions is pretty good. They try to allude that there's a relationship and whatever, and I thought it was actually pretty interesting. Tyrese is actually pretty funny. Lucas is funny. Just their camaraderie, especially with Scott Eastwood's character, who he ends up playing kind of the he plays like Kurt Russell's protege and stuff. He's very by the book, stick in the mud, whatever and stuff. And it's like, okay, he works, fine, whatever. I would say Scott Eastwood and Tyrese kind of have good camaraderie and stuff, just because Tyrese is busting his balls because he's such, Scott Eastwood's character is such a stick in the mud, and it's actually pretty funny. Like I said, the action is phenomenal. The acting is serviceable. It ain't really nothing home to write about. You'll laugh, you'll enjoy the characters and stuff. Dom's, I would say the emotional aspects of the characters, particularly with Dom and Letty, it works, particularly with Dom, because again, not going to spoil it, but like the plot twist for his circumstances of working with Cypher and what he has to go through, you can actually feel them. There's an emotional weight there and stuff, because you're talking about Dom and Letty, two characters who, they've been together for so long since the beginning of the series. They've been through so much shit. Particularly, they're coming off of the last movie where they finally got Letty. She got her memories back and all that stuff, and everything's finally stable. And then this happens, and you see the emotional weight of what he's going through and all that stuff. So it works. Trying to think of anything else. Helen Mirren has a cameo in it. Again, not going to spoil how she figures into it, but it's like I said, it's funny and interesting, and like I said, it works for the plot. Like I said, overall, to me, I enjoyed it. It's another fun ride and stuff. I'm curious to see where they go from here. Trying to think of anything else. But yeah, overall, like I said, if you've enjoyed the series up to this point, and all the wackiness, you will definitely enjoy the 8th movie. It's just amazing to me that this series got to this point, and it's like, again, started off street racing and now this shit, it's like, all right, cool, fine, whatever, it works. I don't know, man. It's just, it's like I said, this series is wild, and I can enjoy it very much. So, with that said, like I said, I'm giving this movie a 4 out of 5. It's a fun movie. You'll love it. I would say the plot twist, like I said, if you've been paying attention, you'll probably be like, okay, of course, if you didn't like the plot, if you didn't see the plot twist come in because you maybe not have been paying attention, you might like it. But like I said, at the end of the day, if you like me, where you're just going in and you're just watching, because that's the thing too about this film series is that, you say jump the shark, and me and D were talking about this, and I was like, well, a series that jumps the shark, I joked, D made the joke that the series jumped the shark when Tyrese took off his shirt in Too Fast, and I got my laugh. I was like, no, being realistic here, the movie jumped the shark when Brian, jumped over Brian Neely's character in his skyline in Too Fast, and that's where the series just said, you know what, we're gonna enhance this ridiculous stuff and go for it because it's cool. And you just, and like I said, the series just roll with it. It knows what it is and it's comfortable with what it is, and they know folks don't mind that. And I think that works, especially when you have that kind of ridiculous stuff going on surrounded with a cast that's clearly enjoying themselves on this film and stuff. And I think that's what makes this film series so beloved, by us and stuff. It's just, we're going in there, we know what to expect, and it embraces it. It isn't trying to be anything but what it is, the ridiculous stuff, So, that's what makes it work and stuff. So, like I said, again, I give it a 4 out of 5. Go check it out, enjoy it. Like I said, you won't be disappointed. They didn't have an after credit sequence in the screener. I don't know if they might have it when they fully release it Thursday, but this weekend. But we'll see. Kind of disappointed, but like I said, I heard rumors that, maybe space, but we'll see where they go. I'm, like I said, the way the movie ended, I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. So, that being said, like I said, 4 out of 5. Go check out Fate of the Furious. Won't be disappointed. Later.